To call the February 8th Indian Head Park Board of Trustees meeting to order. Could we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Donnersberger, absent. Trustee Eck.
Present.
Trustee Gazzes.
Present.
Trustee O'Laughlin. Here. Trustee Saldana.
Here.
Trustee Svetska, absent. President Wittenberg.
Here. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Just going to give a report on a couple of different items today. David, if you could bring that up. Thank you. I'd like to spend a couple of minutes on Wolf Road. We've had some questions about the process, and we thought we would take a moment. I would take a moment and go through some of that information. It was also posted on Simplicity, and it's been posted on the wolfroadstudy.com. So I'm going to review it just because some people haven't seen the website and will be watching on Channel 6 or on our YouTube channel. I wanted to discuss the update on the Wolf Road study. Maps for the corridor are due tomorrow. There's a mapping alternative exercise. It is something that I will mention in just a moment in more detail. So we have a corridor advisory committee that has been convened throughout the Wolf Road project to advise on project direction, needs, and details. The CAC, or we refer to it as the CAC, was formed in the fall of 2023 as part of a public involvement plan, or PIP, for the Wolf Road redesign project, with funding of approximately $350,000 from Cook County through a resolution that was approved by the county board. The CAC will meet throughout the entire Wolf Road redesign project during Phase 1 to advise the project team on project directions, needs, and details. The CAC is designed to be a collaboration of representatives of various stakeholder groups throughout the corridor. The CAC will provide guidance and support to help the project team better understand the corridor needs from a community perspective. Members of the CAC will be project ambassadors, serving as a link to the public to bring in diverse perspectives and update the public and the respective organizations on the project process and activities. The final recommendation on a preferred alternative for the Wolf Road corridor will be made in collaboration between the Village and Cook County Department of Transportation and Highways, in consideration of feedback received from the CAC and the public. The Community Advisory Committee had its first meeting on December 13th last year, and we had over 28 representatives from community organizations and stakeholders. You may see the list online, or if you'd like to come over and speak with me about the CAC membership list, I would be glad to go through it with you. And for the first time in Cook County history, they had granted our request to have 3 Indian Head Park residents, 1 Burr Ridge resident, and an Indian Head Park business owner. We are appreciative of having residents on our CAC, and we thank the county for that. Information from this meeting is provided in links below. You can see it. It's been on Simplicity for the agenda of the meeting, the presentation, and the mapping alternatives handout. The mapping alternatives handout was an exercise that the CAC committee did at their first meeting. The representatives at the CAC meeting liked the mapping exercise. They felt it was a way to visualize the roadway and look at it in separate sections and be able to think about the roadway in a different way than they have thought about it before. I felt it was a good thing to potentially extend the use of this map to our residents. So we opened this process up with the county and Indian Head Park and Strand agreeing to extend the feedback on the mapping alternatives to our residents. The next steps in the process for the CAC after this first meeting is the second CAC meeting will be on approximately tentatively July 2024. Will be the meeting for the CAC members. We'll work to create with Strand and Cook County the corridor alternatives and prepare them for community review. So all of this feedback, we are in a feedback stage right now. We are not in a decision-making mode yet. We are in a feedback gathering. And I'm going to talk about the analytics of how we have been collecting feedback from the public in a very systematic way so we understand what people feel about the corridor. There will then be a public meeting number 2 after this CAC meeting, and the alternatives will be discussed and gone through and reviewed. Then we will come to the public in August 2024 tentatively to present corridor alternatives for review and discussion in a public meeting. So we have a major meeting like we have had in the past in probably a different or bigger venue where everyone can meet to go through all the alternatives. In the meantime, CAC members have been sharing corridor information, presentations, and data from the CAC meeting throughout the village. There have been people that have thought there were meetings that were scheduled by the village for in different HOAs. These are meetings that have been, discussions that have been held with CAC members and the community. CAC members are ambassadors. They are supposed to communicate information about the project to our residents. So they have been doing that, and that's why that's what they are supposed to do. So if you see them meeting with people or they're having discussions with people and spreading information, that's exactly what we want them to do, is to make sure that people use these collection and surveys to get their information in to the county and Indian Head Park. Feel free to submit a map with your comments to the project team at info@wolfroadstudy.com, or you can drop one off at the Village Hall by tomorrow. And please use the silver box, not the mailbox, the U.S. mailbox, or you can bring it into Village Hall. You can go on to the next one, David. What is the feedback regarding Wolf Road? It's public. And I'm not sure everybody knows that the feedback that has been provided on the public survey, letters received, the online mapping survey results, public comments for voicemails, emails, and letters have all been received by wolfroadstudy.com and have been put on the public feedback menu on the Wolf Road website. And those are being updated even through calls from and emails today. You can see that the study team has updated those. We will do the same thing with the mapping alternatives handout when we have collected and anonymized all of those to also put them on the website. We should be proud of the statistics of the interaction on this project. We have gone from a process that did not have a lot of interaction and participation and information that was public to an extremely robust website and interactive tool and process to collect information. We've had over 2,100 total website views, 1,800 unique website views, 147 emails received, people signing up for newsletters, voicemails, 3,000 postcards mailed. So the team here, we have a communications team that was funded by Cook County to manage the communications and public relations on this process. And that is so we can have a process making a decision about this roadway that we can all be comfortable with as we make these decisions together in a collaborative way. If anybody has any questions or would like to sit down and talk about this process with myself or Gavin or Cook County or any of the study team members or CAC members for that matter, we are happy to do it. We've had several wonderful discussions one-on-ones with people, and we invite that at any time. One of our goals is also to increase Indian Head Park interaction and integration with others. I'm not going to go through all of these, but you will see in the next Village Voice, we are getting together with all of our different community leaders, Pleasantdale Park District, Burr Ridge Municipal Leadership, the West Suburban Municipal Conference for grants, Cook County Emergency Service Dispatch Center, reviewing our operations, talking with Pleasant View about the review of their operations and volume of calls. We are in the top 5 call list for Pleasant View, our village, and we're basically the smallest. So we have to see them and understand their operations. We have also met with the CMAP group, the Lyons Township team, and we'll be talking about all the different ideas that we have to bring more services and ideas to our residents. And last but not least, I want to thank everyone for joining, all the trustees and Gavin and all of our village managers and people that run departments for coming to the committee of the whole meeting. I know it's time out of your busy schedules, but the committee of the whole is, it's crucial to review and align our highest priorities with the board, with staff, administration, and our residents, so you know what we are doing. Together, we will chart a course of success and achievement this year through shared goals, open communication, and a focus on continuous improvement with an empowered staff and energized culture. And Gavin will be going through tonight the top line of the top, as well as Joe and Matt, their goals as well, the top 1, not all of them. So we'll be revisiting this sheet. This is a work in process. It may change. We may move things up the priority list or down the priority list, or maybe something moves into place depending on what is going on operationally. Thank you. Could we please have a motion for the consent agenda, please?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Any items of discussion for the consent agenda? Did we have any items to discuss?
No, is the lawnmowers separately to be addressed, right? It's on the consent agenda. Then we want to discuss it.
If you would like to discuss it, then we have to have a motion to bring it
Can I make
out.
a motion to bifurcate the consent agenda and pull out item D? So therefore approving only A, B, C, and E right now? So the motion is to approve the consent agenda minus that item.
Second?
All righty. Can I have then a roll call vote for the consent agenda as stated by Trustee Saldana?
Trustee Eck.
Aye.
Trustee Gazis.
Aye.
Trustee O'Laughlin.
Aye.
Trustee Saldana.
Aye.
That motion has passed.
I now make a motion to approve item D of the consent agenda of the purchase of a lawnmower for the purpose of discussion.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion about the lawnmower. Joe, did you want to take that, or Gavin?
What questions did you have?
We've got 13,000 roughly for a new lawnmower. It was indicated that this amount was included in the budget for the current year. What was the total amount in the budget for these kinds of purchases? Do you recall?
I don't know, because it's split into different departments, water, sewer, and public works, so I'm not exactly sure where they're going to pull it from. It wasn't a specific budget line item.
Well, we want to make sure we don't go over budget is where I'm going with this.
And I'll address that real quick. Across 3 different line items, we had about $87,000 for a new public works vehicle, and we are not purchasing that. We discussed that at prior meetings, that we had decided that we could forego that for this fiscal year, and that is where the money is coming from.
So there's a lot left over.
Yes.
You could buy something else.
I have no plans for that this year. We are talking possibly next year of getting a vehicle, though. maybe we can push that into next year.
Okay, well then, hopefully you'll be an active participant in the budget for the coming year and have all this detail. We appreciate
Already
that.
working on it, already working on it.
Good.
I'm gonna amend my motion for approval, not just for the purpose of discussion.
Second.
Alrighty, can we have a roll call vote?
Trustee Eck.
Aye.
Trustee Gazis.
Aye.
Trustee O'Laughlin.
Aye.
Trustee Saldana.
Aye.
That motion has passed. Alrighty, moving on to new business. Item A, can we have a motion?
Motion
Motion
to,
to approve ordinance 2024-04.
second.
Any questions about the allowing a variation at 11202 Arrowhead Trail?
This is necessary because?
The requirement in the R1 zoning district is that 40% of the lot be the rear yard setback. This lot is 136 feet deep, so the setback requirement would be 54.4 feet. The Planning and Zoning Commission had a public hearing on Tuesday night and heard the request and decided that it did, in fact, meet all of the standards to allow a variance. And they considered the facts such as the R1 minimum lot size is 20,000 square feet. This lot is 11,560 square feet. All of the lots on Arrowhead Trail are undersized for the R1 zoning district. The current setback is 34.7 feet. The new deck, the proposed deck, would be set back at 36.2 feet. So the encroachment into the required R1 setback, rear yard setback, will be actually 1.5 feet less than the current deck. So it will be less of a variance. And with the requested variance, they also found that the home will fit in with the rest of the character of this neighborhood. So the findings are listed in your packet just behind the ordinance, and they found that they're recommending approval.
Since you mentioned that all of the Arrowhead lots are smaller with this, does this ordinance cover everything on Arrowhead or just this particular property?
Just this particular property. And there was a similarly situated property that back in May of 2023 was approved for a similar variance in the backyard.
Do we want to consider making it a uniform variance along Arrowhead, or has that been addressed?
I think it will be addressed in a review of the zoning code. At the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on Tuesday night, we discussed the need to update the zoning code overall, and that would be one of those areas that specifically needs to be amended.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions about the variation at 11202 Arrowhead Trail? Hearing none, do we have a roll call vote?
Trustee Eck.
Aye.
Trustee Gazis.
Aye.
Trustee O'Laughlin.
Aye.
Trustee Saldana.
Aye.
That motion has passed. Moving on to new business, item B.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2024-05, the updating of the fence code.
Gavin?
Who's second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. The one change in the fence code will be to line D under section 4214 fences, line D, or paragraph D. This section shall not apply to that portion of a property adjoining a business zoning district. Currently, the code reads adjoining a non-residential district, and as we discussed at the last board meeting, that wasn't the intent of the board when that was that portion was last amended, And this is really just to correct that to match the intent and the procedures we've been following at the village.
What does this allow that it didn't allow before?
It's just specific about where fences are allowed. It allows them neighboring business districts rather than the more
Broader.
non-residential.
Any other questions? Hearing none, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Eck.
Aye.
Trustee Gazzes.
Aye.
Trustee O'Laughlin.
Aye.
Trustee Saldana.
Aye.
That motion has passed. Can we have a motion, please, for item C of new business?
I'll make a motion to pass ordinance number 2024-06, an ordinance establishing the position of Director of Police Operations.
Second?
Okay. Chief Walsh has assessed the staffing needs and operations of the department and has concluded that creating this position of the Director of Police Operations will benefit the department and the community. And I'll let you all ask any specific questions you have of Chief Walsh.
I do have a question. When do you expect this position to be posted, once we pass this?
Posted or filled?
Okay, filled.
It'll be filled on February 29th.
Okay, so this is moving pretty fast. Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, can we please have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Eck.
Aye.
Trustee Gazzes.
Aye.
Trustee O'Laughlin.
Aye.
Trustee Saldana.
Aye.
That motion has passed. Can I please have a motion for item D, please?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-01, which is adopting a fund balance policy.
Second?
Gavin?
We've discussed a fund balance policy at the board and at the finance committee a number of times, and it's something we have been doing in practice, so it won't really have an immediate impact on our finances, so to speak, but it will give us some guidance and a plan to point to as to, or to explain why we have a fund balance at all, but it also helps us to judge whether there is excess fund balance that we can use for another purpose, and that's basically the point of having the fund balance policy. And the policy, the actual policy, will be to have at least 3 months of general fund operating expenses in our fund balance. Currently, at the end of fiscal year 23, we had an unassigned fund balance of $1,695,000, which is over 3 months of general fund operating expenses. Is closer to 6 months. So we are doing fine right now in our fund balance, and it's a healthy fund balance, but this will allow us to assess where we're at as far as the fund balance goes.
Do we have any other funds that we should have a policy related to coverage other than the general fund, which is what this is in reference to?
I think we should stick with the general fund for now, and we can assess that for other funds. But generally, in most situations, people or villages, municipalities stick with the general fund.
And roughly our annual expenses through the general fund is about, well, 25% is how much?
1.3, I believe. Do you know, Helia?
I do not. Let me look.
I have a sheet of paper in my office that says.
So the total's about 5 million, and 1.3 is roughly 25% of that?
Yes.
Thank you.
So to clarify, what the 25% means is the actual amount that the policy sets. It's 3 months.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I believe, as I remembered the audit report, it requested that this was a correction to our audit. Item 3, I believe,
Yes.
which is great. So we can cross that off the letter. Thank you. Any other questions before? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Eck.
Aye.
Trustee Gases.
Aye.
Trustee O'Laughlin.
Aye.
Trustee Saldana.
Aye.
That motion has passed. Can we have a motion, please, for item E?
Motion to approve item E, bond issue for pump house expenses.
Second.
Gavin?
So what we're asking for tonight is direction to begin the process to research bond counsel and then begin the steps to toward issuing bonds for the purpose of financing the reconstruction of the pump house. And the Finance Committee has met with Spear Financial to discuss the financing options. And the next step, again, is to get that direction from the full board tonight or at some point, and move forward with Spear to develop the parameters of the bond issue and get that process started. John Cochran is here tonight to talk a little bit more. He's a member of our Finance Committee and will address the discussion that was that took place on Monday night.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
The Finance Committee has actually discussed this, I think, 3 times now. Basically, it's a trade-off between having financial flexibility or using up all of our existing resources to fund the project without incurring additional debt. And the consensus that the committee reached is that financial flexibility is desirable. Things happen, might give us the opportunity to take advantage of economies of scale with other projects that come up. So the consensus of the committee was to pursue a debt issuance to fund the project, or at least a portion of the project. There are some options as to the amount, as to the timing of when we issue. As Gavin alluded, this isn't something that happens tomorrow. There's a several-month process, and we may know more during that time. So that could inform the final decision as well. The committee seemed to gravitate towards a 5-year bond issuance, so payable in 5 years. We were looking at callability features in those bonds. The call premium was very expensive, so I think we've decided to move back on that. One of the big factors that we talked about too was, if we are able to maintain funds, if we don't have to use funds for other projects, those funds are going to earn interest, which is going to offset the cost of the debt. So I think with that and the financial flexibility that it would give, that was the recommendation of the committee. Any questions? Any dissenting views from other committee members?
At what point in time will an actual ordinance need to be passed by the board, either John or Gavin? A funding ordinance.
Mr. Cochran's pointing at me.
Oh.
I think Gavin said it correctly. This is sort of a kickoff. If this passes tonight, this is the first step in a multi-step process. What ultimately needs to happen is that Spear would then work with whoever bond counsel is that's engaged on that to come up with what's called a bond ordinance, which authorizes the issuance of the bonds. And then, depending on whatever vehicle it is that's chosen, if it's bonds, if it's, I saw other financing options like debt certificates mentioned in Spear's report, then that would then be authorized by that ordinance. So the action tonight doesn't bind the board to take any other further action, future action. It sort of authorizes the kickoff to that process to study the different alternatives to then come up with the best vehicle as whatever the market would allow, and then bring it back before the board for final decision later, as Mr. Cochran indicated, several months down the line.
Thank you.
Any other questions for John? Thank you for
Thank you.
coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'd like, as chairman of the Finance Committee, I'd like to accent what John was talking about in terms of financial flexibility. And if you look at the funds that we have available in the current report, it's about $2.5 million. 6 months ago, we had about $3.3 million, almost $3.4 million. We've been spending money in regards to the pump house. There's more money that's going to be spent on the pump house. We have other major issues within the village, such as not related to the pump house, but related to needs for money, which includes road repair and water pipes, and those are showing a great deal of age. And as I think Gavin indicated early on in his comments, is that it leaves flexibility to be able to address those with economies of scale. And the cost to the village is going to be relatively minimal because we'll be able to invest these funds, which will offset some of the cost.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Eck.
Aye, aye, aye.
Trustee Gazzes.
Aye.
Trustee O'Laughlin.
Aye.
Trustee Saldana.
Aye. That motion has passed. We are now at the time where we can invite public comments to the podium, please. Did we receive any in email?
No, we did not.
All righty. Seeing there are no, oh, Sandy, could you come up to the podium? Thank you.
Sandy Hayes, 6634 Cochise Drive. After the last meeting, the next day I went online. I'm not real computer savvy. I kept looking all the way, and I could not find this. And I wonder how many other people had problems trying to access the information, and what kind of a response have you had? Or should there have been maybe a public mailing?
Well, this is it was sort of a directional request that I had made that we extend this. So we've gotten probably 95 or 80, I think it was 83 on the list as of today. And we had, this was an exercise for the CAC members. So with outside of the CAC members, it's 83. So if we get, we wanted to put a deadline on it because now we have to get to work. We have to look at all of the feedback. The county and the Wolf Road study team has to look at all the feedback. So my feeling is we did set a date that was after the CAC date. I feel like we've put this online in several simplicity messages. It's gone on our Facebook page. So I'm sorry you couldn't find it. We do want to redesign the website. That's not making an excuse for it, but it does need to be better as far as visually being able to find it.
So many things.
Yes. So it was under news briefs. That's where we put everything and post everything is under news briefs. So if you scroll down to news briefs, you should find it. Every simplicity message goes onto a news brief. It's sort of once we create a news brief, it becomes a simplicity message, and then it also posts on Facebook, or that's what it should do.
Okay, well, I will get this in tomorrow.
Okay.
But I couldn't find it, and then we were
We
out
appreciate it. I understand.
gone, so,
I understand.
yeah. Okay,
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you. Any other public comments? All righty, we are to the department reports and trustee reports. Trustees, Jim?
Yes, Planning and Zoning met on Tuesday evening, February 6th, and approved the aforementioned, recommended that the board approve the aforementioned 11202 Arrowhead Trail variance for David and Shannon Louisy. We also discussed the goals of that particular commission, possibly getting some outside help to help in redesigning the updating the 95 pages of Article 42 of the 800-page Indian Head Park Municipal Code for those that are having trouble going to sleep. And we do have a vacancy on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we will post that on the website, take applications, and we'd like to fill that spot with a resident that has interest in joining that commission.
So we will post a simplicity message that will have the PDF for the application, and then we will also have it under the Planning and Zoning Commission heading of the website. And if you can't find it, please call us or email us at the village, please, and we'll make sure you get an application. Thank you. Brenda?
Yes, we had a police committee meeting this past week, and we had a little discussion on the staffing of the full-time and part-timers. We talked about as far as the installation of the cameras, in the review of the adjudication and prosecution, just going over that a little bit. It also is another big thing is to update the policies and procedures, which is a little bit behind. Where it hasn't been updated since 2019, so the chief is going to be working on that. And to continue to meet with other municipalities and agencies in regards to example school response plans, sharing the resources, and cooperative task forces. In regards to we will be getting together as far as the funding committee for Easter plans for the Easter Bunny, which will be the Saturday before Easter. There'll be an email coming out for people that would like to work on the committee for that. And also to the Eagle Scout will be coming to I have to work with Joe in order to get the remaining garden plots built, and that so they can be put out and ready for springtime, which it seems like it's springtime right now, and that's all I have to report.
Trustee Egg?
Two reports. On Finance Committee, we'll be talking about the budget in detail at the next meetings. We had previously discussed, as John had indicated, the financing of the pump house, and pleased to see that that's taken the next step. We're not there yet, but taking the next step. Regarding Public Works, we're looking at village properties. We talked about staffing, trees, and we talked about the development of some longer-range plans related to the physical assets of the village, such as streets, water, sewer. And all those are in development, but the plans are starting to formulate in regards to those particular needs. And it falls on this gentleman's shoulders right here to move all those forwards. Thank you, Joe.
And facilities.
Looking at facilities, yes. Yeah.
No report.
Thank you. Village Clerk?
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Oh, Village Treasurer, can you actually do the finance report that we didn't do at the beginning of the meeting?
Okay. The financial summary for January 2024. The cash on hand at the end of December was $2,822,000. The payments that were made during the month of January were $843,000. Of that $843,000, we had $359,000 related to the pump house. Total revenues for the month of January were $550,000. So our ending bank balance was $2,530,000.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Treasurer, or is that
That's all. Thank you.
Village Attorney?
No report tonight, thank you.
Village Administrator?
Thanks. As you mentioned earlier, we are really focused on our goals for this year, our priorities for 2024, and I just wanted to go through, as you mentioned, the top line. Hiring an assistant to the village administrator in the administration category. We're beginning to contact folks to come in for interviews next week, and we got over 20 applicants, and there's a lot of quality applicants, so it's going to be a good challenge to narrow that down and find the right fit for our needs. Under Human Resources, updating the employee benefits, we've requested pricing for a PPO option for our health insurance, something that there is some interest among employees for that, and we're going to see what the options are, what our costs will be, and how we structure that so that it fits within our budget but offers something that it will be a benefit, a further benefit to employees. We'll still offer the HMO, but it gives more options and more flexibility. Under community development, as Trustee Gazis mentioned, the Planning and Zoning Commission talked about a comprehensive planning effort led by a consultant, and so I am looking into options for a consultant to help us with that, to lead us through that. We'll be looking for something that's the right size fit for us, that has experience dealing with similar communities, and we'll get that started, and part of that will obviously end up with any adjustments we need to make to our zoning code or village code overall to meet whatever priorities are set coming out of that. And of course, the Planning and Zoning Commission will work with the board and with staff on that. Under finance, as Charlie mentioned, we're working through the budget. We are meeting on February 26th to go through the first round of the budget and get that prepared for a first reading before the board in March. Thank you.
And can we have Matt, please, your report?
The main ones I identified is policies, grants, and personnel. The main one being policies, like Trustee O'Loughlin had said earlier. They haven't been updated since 2019, some since 2014. As you know, we have the Safety Act, we have all these changes, all these legal updates. We have to make sure we're in compliance. So we met with Lexipol. I've met with them 3 times. I'm meeting with them one more time so we know how to edit and properly put them out, release them. But we're working on the hot topics. For example, officer-involved shootings, pursuits, use of force, and anything with the Safety Act, because those have to be done right now because our officers are working with old policies. So that's my main one. And then obviously the grants, bring any money we can bring into, and personnel, we have to have people. So those are the main topics.
Great, thank you. Joe, Public Works, water?
Some of the main goals we're looking for are getting a 5-year water main replacement or lining program in place. We met with Strand Engineering on that last week. Also the same with our road program, 5-year program with that as well, and work in conjunction with the water main, so we're not putting new road on top of old water main. So we're going to work with that, and also the facility assessment that was done. We're going to kind of decide what direction we want to go with that. A couple other updates. The pump house, we put a fence around a temporary fence around the generator out there last week. I'm meeting with Independent Mechanical, the contractor that's working on the pump house, tomorrow to discuss asbestos abatement, and then we'll get a date as to when we're going to meet again to start the next phase in the project. And last but not least, I wanted to introduce our new crew leader that we've had. He's Brian Rebellis. He comes to us with 15+ years of experience. He's on his 3rd week here. So far, he's been a great asset, already making a difference, and he seems to have like-minded vision that I have going forward. So,
Welcome, Brian. Welcome
that's what
aboard. Thank you so much. I think that's all for reports. So seeing that is it for tonight, can we have a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
The meeting is adjourned at, well, roll call, sorry. I was so excited.
Be a roll call?
Voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion has passed. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.